Welcome back. We are here for another fun Q&A with one of the oldest wineries in all of Walla Walla. I'm sure you might have heard of it before, but La Cole number 41. And today we are going to be joined by, let's bring her on, Jaime Iseminger.
Hello.
Hey, Jaime. And
Hi.
Jaime is the wine club manager there, also does like all the direct to consumer. He is going to be kind of your front facing person when you come to the winery. Will we see you there?
I am at the winery right now. I'm in the nice library, and sometimes you will definitely find me in our tasting room, but we do have fabulous tasting room staff as well.
Always. I always love coming in there. I mean, I can't even count on, two hands, like how many times I've been to La Cole, but it's always a great experience. And of course, the wine is amazing. But let's talk a little bit about the history of La Cole, because there is so much history with the winery and the schoolhouse and location that it's actually at.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me today. So La Cole was the third winery in the Walla Walla Valley, the third modern winery, I should say, in the Walla Walla Valley. So we were started as a retirement project by a local couple named Baker and Jean Ferguson. And they bought the old Frenchtown schoolhouse that you see on our label in the 1970s with the idea of making wine here in retirement. And it took a few years for all the remodeling and everything to happen at the schoolhouse, but they released their first vintage was the 1983 vintage. So at that point, Leonetti was of course around, and then our fabulous neighbors Woodward Canyon were founded a couple years prior. So yeah,
just for consumers out there too, we will drop a pin on this so that you know where their location is. But the two of the oldest wineries are literally like right next door to each other. Is it called Loudon or Loudon?
Loudon.
Loudon. In Loudon, just right outside of Walla Walla. So you literally pass it on your way into town. It's a must visit. So, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. You can park at La Cole and visit La Cole and Woodward Canyon, or park at Woodward Canyon and just walk back and forth. It's really as close as you say there. So we'll be celebrating 40 years of making wine here in just a couple years. So we're gearing up for that big anniversary. And yeah, so we are excited to be making great wines, and fabulous winemaker here in the Valley.
Yeah, and we will get into that shortly. But I do want to talk about, so when talking about the schoolhouse, because there is a new location, we'll get to that just in a second.
Yes.
But the original location, what can people expect when they come there? And are you guys, requiring reservations at the moment, or are you, allowing walk-ins? We want to be good wine stewards, so want to let people know, ahead of time what they should expect.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the schoolhouse here in Loudon, we certainly encourage reservations, especially if you're planning to visit on the weekends. So the weekends, we are seeing just great interest in visiting Walla Walla, which is so exciting to see so many visitors coming to the Valley. So I would definitely recommend reservations if you're visiting on the weekends. However, as long as we have space available, we'd love to seat you for a seated tasting as well. So we have two tastings available, two different tasting flights available here at the winery. So we have our La Cole 101 tasting, which includes all of our current releases. So it'll be a selection of 6 current release wines, whites and reds. And then we have our graduate level tasting, which includes our vineyard collection wine. So Perigee, Apogee, Ferguson, the big single vineyard Bordeaux blends.
Business.
And some library vintages as well. Yeah. So those are some great options when visiting the schoolhouse. And then you mentioned our new location as well.
Yes, I mean, this was news to me. So spill the beans.
Right. So we're excited to spill the beans. So just last month, the beginning of May, we are proud to have opened Heritage by La Cole Wine Bar, located in downtown Walla Walla, actually in the lobby of the Marcus Whitman Hotel. So we,
it is. Okay.
Yeah, right on the corner of Second and Rose. As you drive into Walla Walla, you will see our entrance inside the Marcus Whitman. So at the Heritage by Lacole, we are offering flights every day from 11 to 7. So it's a great place to come before dinner and grab a flight of wines, taste also library wines as well on the flights there, or just grab a glass of wine with friends, in the mid-afternoon. So.
And question for you, because actually I was just there about a month ago in Walla Walla, and when I was driving by, it looked like everything was changed up at the Marcus Whitman because there used to be several tasting rooms down there. Did you take over one of those spaces, or is this a new space?
Yeah, no, thank you. So we are in the space that is in the exact corner of the building where Taro used to be located.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to visit that. That is amazing. And then just so people know, like making reservations, like how far in advance do you think you need to make reservations? Like if I'm like, hey, it's a Wednesday, I want to go to Walla Walla, am I too late at this point? No?
It probably depends on the Saturday. I would just check our website. So the availability is always updated on our website. We should, but I think on a Wednesday to planning for the upcoming weekend, you should be okay.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about your new winemaker. As of recently, I think about a year ago, there's been a little bit of changing of the guards. And, I've known Marty for many, many years. And, always have been producing great wines. This is somebody that was an intern for you guys a long time ago and has kind of, come full circle, is now the head winemaker. So does he have plans? And this is Marcus Raffinelli. And does he have plans to come in and shake things up? Or is it kind of, because when you walk into a winery that's nearly 40 years old, they're there for a reason. They've had stay for a reason. So you obviously want to, keep with the heritage, but you also want to kind of bring some, fun new life in. What can we expect?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. So Marcus Raffinelli is our head winemaker. He joined us in December of 2019. And yes, he was an intern with us back in 2007. So it's really fun to have him back on board at the winery. I remember when he joined us as a harvest intern and was going through the program at the community college. So it's been great to having him back on board. As far as changes, so one of the things that Lacole really prides itself on is consistency. And consistency vintage after vintage, and also over delivering on the value of the wine that you are enjoying. So you can always count on that. If you've enjoyed Lacole for the last 20 years, you are still going to enjoy Lacole, even with Marcus on board, if not even more so. So Marty is still very much involved with the all of the winemaking process. So I actually was just tasting some of the 2020 Walla Walla red wines with he and Marcus and the production crew earlier this morning. And when it comes time for harvest, Marty really takes the lead out in the vineyard. So leading up to harvest and during harvest, he's out in the vineyards every single day, making sure everything looks good, pulling samples, picking decisions, where Marcus is leading the crew here at the winery and processing the fruit and managing the fermentations. You may know, what's that?
Messing with the juice.
Messing with the juice. And Marcus is such I say this lovingly, he's such a wine geek, and he loves to geek out on the chemistry of the wines. And he's just taking a look at every step in the process and not changing the processes, but just fine tuning and just looking for little ways to make it even better, but no grand changes or style changes or anything like that.
I think that's good to know from a lot of the consumers just out there that have been such fans of Lacole forever. One of my favorite wines is the 2018 Merlot. And you guys do Merlot. So, I love Merlot. I think everybody should love Merlot.
Absolutely.
It's such a wonderful varietal, and Washington Merlot is like the best. Now, I do kind of want to go a little off topic because, this is in the news about Betts, a family winery, not doing a 2020 vintage due to smoke taint. So how have you, do you feel like that's affected any, fruit that you guys have had coming over during 2020?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So that was actually a topic of conversation this morning in the lab when we were tasting. And when the fruit was coming in, obviously we knew there was smoke in the air. And there were tests being done in the vineyard. And then also, once the fruit came in, any wines or any grapes that Marcus or Marty thought may have potential to be affected, Marcus was doing micro fermentations on and running tests on to ensure that we did not have we weren't inadvertently introducing any affected wines into.
Those grapes were in quarantine just like us.
So in all of that being said, he just let us know this morning of the nearly 1,000 barrels that we made in the 2020 vintage, there were 10 barrels that had were slightly affected by smoke, and those have been isolated. So that is what we feel to be the extent of our exposure at this point.
That's awesome. I mean, but still.
Yeah, absolutely. The wines are beautiful. The 2020 Walla Walla wines that we just tasted, we tried the Merlot, the Petit Verdot, Cab Franc, the Cab, they're beautiful wines.
Well, it's really funny because there's obviously been many other years that we've had, fires during harvest and everything. And I just remember like going to trade events and stuff, and a lot of the people that have to sell the wines that have been affected a little bit, we always like joked about like, okay, what's your sales pitch? Like, oh, great with barbecue. This great smoky flavor goes well with, so-and-so or whatever. But well, that's good to hear that you guys haven't been really heavily affected. I mean, of course, I would really be sad to lose 10 barrels of wine, but I think you guys will be just fine.
Right, out of 1,000.
Yeah. So you being the direct consumer wine club manager, I know you guys have great wine club options. If you want to talk about that, and then I always like to know, like, is there a current release that gets you really excited? I mean, is there like something that you are just like, oh, I can't wait to get this in the hands of consumers?
Oh, yeah, thank you. So I'm going to pick two wines. So if you come to visit us at the schoolhouse for white wines, the 2019 Simeon, the Columbia Heritage Collection Simeon is rocking. So the Simeon is really, it's a wine we've made since the very, very beginning, very first vintage back in 1983. It is such a beautiful wine, and it's not a varietal you find that widely available. So it's one that we are excited to really carry the Simeon flag and showcase.
It's 100% Simeon.
No, it is blended with just a tiny bit of Sauvignon Blanc. So depending on the vintage, it might be 12% up to 17%, depending on the vintage. And then on the red side, since we're still in the springtime, the new vintage of Ferguson. So Ferguson is our big Cab dominant Bordeaux style blend from our Ferguson Estate vineyard here in the Walla Walla Valley. So it's the wine that is planted in just very, very shallow soils. It goes directly right on top of that fractured basalt. So we've just released it this spring, and it is currently available for tasting as well.
And I think, didn't that recently get some accolades from like Wine Spectator?
So the inaugural vintage of Ferguson, the very first vintage, was named Best Bordeaux Blend in the World by Decanter Wine Awards in London a few years ago. And then it always has great scores. I honestly don't have the 18 scores memorized off the top of my head, but but it always is a nice scoring wine. So
the Perigee is
Perigee.
Also one of my favorites. You guys also do really well in all of our annual Best of the Northwest competitions. I mean, your whites, your reds, your everything. So I mean, it's this winery is just, I mean, you guys, you've been there a long time, but you're a great mainstay. But there is so much vibrancy in everything that you guys do, and it's such a great experience. And I can't wait to go be able to hop on over to the Marcus Whitman and just grab a glass while we're downtown. That's awesome. That's open now?
Yes. So the Heritage by Lacour Wine Bar is open every day from 11 to 7.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us today. This was super fun. I can't wait to come and visit you guys very soon. But check them out, follow them on Instagram. Their website has all the information regarding reservations, probably a breakdown of all of your wine club offerings, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
we can go through those, but I mean, I'm sure people want to go in and check them out themselves. So just go to lacole.com and be sure to follow them at lacole41. So again, thank you so much, Jamie. And stay tuned at 2:00. We've got a pretty big announcement that we're going to be doing with Dan Thiessen of Basil Cellars. So anyhow, have a great day, Jamie, and we will talk and hopefully see you soon.
I hope to see you over in Walla Walla soon as well. Thanks again so much for having me and all you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.